7:15. The next day. I mean, like, I wouldn't mind. Here's the thing, right? Lucy becoming human. That's fucked up, right? But if Yuta becomes a vampire in response, I mean, it wouldn't make that much sense, but you know, that equivalent exchange, right? It fits. Lucy had a shockingly suspicious expression. Yeah. I nodded again.
これは首相だ心がけでございますな。何が首相よ。少しでも顔を合わせて御所様との距離を縮めようと、そういう心づもりでございますな。
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but not quite like that.
なんと。じゃあどういうつもり？
When I mean, my father-in-law is here. I'll explain. It was my first time ever saying father-in-law. It felt unbelievably strange. Well, he did refer to Lucy as your wife, so it makes sense.
私としては乗り気になれないわね。お嬢様、そんなことをおっしゃってはまた御所様が泣かれますぞ。はあ、まあしょうがないわね。ユウタがそう言うなら。
Thanks. Oh, and just checking, but others can't come here easily, right?
他の人というのは？
Like those soldiers from before. Oh, right. They didn't. they don't know that he fucking. He fucking sucked the shit out of Gasparo again. Lucy and Dora both looked taken aback at my words. I'd kind of like to see them too, if possible. That is. Oh, that's what he meant. He wants to punch them too. That only confused Lucy more, but she answered anyway.
それは無理ね、きっと。
I see. Okay, just your father then.
ユウタには何か考えがあるみたいね。
Yeah, a plan of sorts.
じゃあ、それはお父様が来たら聞かせてもらいましょうか。
He wants to fucking activate his powers again, I think.
では、我が輩、呼んでまいりまする。ただ、ユウタ様、御所様もお忙しい身。お招きしても、おいそれとは玉座を分けることは叶いませんかと。
Are you sure that... You're sure? Cause like... If it's related to his daughter, I think he can make the time. Okay. So, I guess sometime today is an option?
そうね。おそらくは。
Okay, let's go out and do something.
ちょっと待ってて。メイクを直すから。
Told you. Just as we were about to leave, Gasparo showed up. Huh?
あれ？
なんだ。人を呼びつけておいて何を意外そうにしている。
His biting words were directed at me. Well, we just didn't think you would be here so soon.
そうよ。せっかく今からデートに。
だって、せっかく可愛いルーチェちゃんが来てほしいって言ってるのに、パパが行かないはずないじゃないか。
離れて。私が来てほしいわけじゃないわよ。呼んだのはあくまでユウタなんだから。
まさかそんな、ルーチェ？照れくさいからってそんな無理しなくてもいいからさ。
離れて。
It's been a while since we've seen the cat eyes. This time, he wrapped his arms around her.
だ だって、ユータが世に用があるはずがないではないか。なあ。
Well, Gasparo said it like he was begging Lucy for a break.
どんな言い草よ。義理の息子に向かって。
世に息子などおらん。世の子供はルチェただ一人だ。
Well, yeah, that's why he's your son-in-law, not your son.
リ
Thank you. Anyway, I did call you here for a reason. Gasparo's vengeful scorn returned when I spoke.
一体どういうことだ。人間風情のお前が世に何の用がある。
義理の息子に向かってなんて言い草よ。
I'll discuss it over some tea. Shall we go for a cup?
お茶？
Lucy, let's go to the honeydew. Why wouldn't you? Sure, you know what? Fine, whatever. Lucy got the hint to take the lead, knowing Gasparo wouldn't budge with my words alone. We walked off and thankfully he followed.
まったく、どういうことなのだ。帝王として寝る時間もろくにないというのに茶に誘うなど。
呼ばれてすぐにホイホイ来たくせに、そんなこと言っても何の説得力もないのよ。
だってルーチェちゃんに呼ばれたと思えばこそさ、忙しい公務の間を縫ってでもマナ娘の顔を見たいと思うじゃん。
Like I said, he could make time for his daughter.
何かちゃんよ。少なくとも私が会いたがることは決してないから、安心して公務に励んでくださいな、お父様。
ひどい。
いらっしゃいませ。
She greeted us with her usual friendly demeanor, but was a little stunned when she noticed Gasparo with us. He had a bizarre air about him, so it was undeniable she was surprised.
ああ、ユーナは初めてだったかしら。これ、私の父よ。
Yeah, if you couldn't tell by the way he dresses and looks.
ちょっとルーチェちゃん、最愛のパパに向かってこれって言い方はないんじゃないかな。
And acts.
うっとうしい。
ひどい。
I felt like I was watching a rerun of their interaction from before. About 80% of the seats were taken in the shop, and some of the customers were curious about the ruckus. Dad.
お父さんなどと気安く呼ぶんじゃない。
I felt like I had heard that before. I had heard this before. Anyway, let's just sit down. We're bothering the other customers standing up.
何がいいのかよくわからんな。
Gasparo muttered angrily as he stared at the menu.
私はお汁粉にしようかしら。あ、お父様は私の真似をしないでよ。
ちょっと冷たくなったんじゃないかいルーチェ。
私は前からこうだと思いますけどね。
Everything's good here. I recommend the Kintsuba.
何でもいい。
He shoved the menu in my hands after his perturbed answer. Excuse me.
ご注文は決まりですか？
2 orders of Kintsuba and 1 Oshiruko.
金つば2つにお汁粉1つですね。かしこまりました。それから我が輩に裏メニューのひまわりの種をくだされ。
Why the fuck are you here?
かしこまりました。
What? They have a secret menu now? Yeah, only for him.
で、結局何の用だ。まさか単に一緒に菓子を食べるためだけに呼んだわけではあるまい。
Yes, I thought if we met, I could get more used to you,
なれる
to vampires. I kind of have trouble looking at Lucy as a vampire, as a vampiress, you know. But I don't have that trouble with you, Dad. I took a chance with that. And the soldiers too. Although they can't exactly come here.
結局、何が言いたい
You said this to me before, that superfluous power is eliminated as time goes on. Similar to how the princess's way of life has changed, humanity has also altered their way of life.
それで
Lucy has been attending school. No one regards her as dangerous. It kind of goes without saying. Other people, like you, Dad, are the same way. You're not an enemy anymore. So, my unique power should, in theory, be pointless now. And I was trying to think how I could cast it off somehow.
それで、なれるか
I mean, it could work in theory, but I have the feeling that wouldn't it be better for him to come to their world? Right? I don't know, just hanging around one other vampire probably isn't gonna do much, even if he's the king vampire. Yes. I wanted to fully internalize the fact that vampires were not an opposing race, since hearing Gaspar's explanation. But as I had said, I never really considered Lucy as a vampiress. She was just a single lovely girl. So my being in love with Lucy was somehow disconnected from the fact that I was in love with a vampiress. I wished to fix that impression, and the only possible avenue I saw was using Gasparo.
なるほど。いかがでしょう、陛下。今の考え、見込みはありますでしょうか。
わからん。わからんが。
I leaned forward on the table, eager to hear his opinion.
要はマナ娘を奪った男との会見など面白くない。全く面白くない。
たとえ面白くないとしても、我慢しないともう二度と会えなくなるかもしれないわよ。私と。
どういうことだい？
要するに、私個人としてお父様と会いたいことなんて、もうそうそうないんじゃないかしらね。
Damn. That's... Talk about an ultimatum.
ひどい！
お待たせしました。
Oh, nice.
なんだそのドロッとした黒い液体は。
これは私のお汁粉よ。
ああ。
Here's the Kinsuba.
なんだか奇妙な見た目をしているな。
You'll see how good it is when you try it.
お父様、ユータの考えは私も今初めて知ったの。それで思ったのだけど、結構いいところをついているんじゃないかしらね。確かにそうよ。
Lucy looked lovingly at me.
今さら反目し合うこともない。だから言ってみればユータのは過剰な反応なんだわ。
Okay, here's what I'm thinking, right? So, Gasparo coming to this world so that Yuta could acclimate to being around a vampire would work, but not him going to the vampire world, because it would act as a kind of a shock to his system, which would in turn let's say enhance his basal instinct of being combative towards vampires or something. I don't know, because obviously, right, he can't activate his powers on Earth, but he can in the vampire world. So having vampires come to Earth is better than him going to the vampire world, I guess, right? And then of course the sucking of blood would also have the same effect. No. That's more an effect on Lucy than it is on Yuta, I guess. Yeah. Gasparo compared me to white blood cells, and even something vital can become an illness if excessive.
ということでお父様、協力してくださるわね。私たちの結婚のために。
Gasparo scoffed and turned his head away from me.
要は忙しい身だ。
Or away from her.
ただまあ可愛い娘がどうしても会いたいというのであれば、何を置いてでも会いに来ることとしよう。
It was the same over the top expression, but Lucy smiled in appreciation.
ありがとう、お父様。
Oh shit, that's gonna fuel him for the at least a week. His mouth twisted into a bashful smile, and he leaned down against the table to hide it.
では食してみるか。金唾とやらを。おお、うまっ。うまっ。うまいじゃないかこれ。
I told you it was.
うまっ。うままま。
陛下。
He's never had. Apparently, he's fucking never had dessert before. He's never had a single sweet thing in his life. Even Dora, his servant, couldn't help but be a little shocked.
騒がないでよ、もう。恥ずかしい人ね。
Gasparo had only just gotten to only just gotten on Lucy's good side, and now he seemed to be plummeting back downward. He was oblivious to his daughter's qualms in his blissful trance. That's a first.
おーい娘、同じものを10人前持ってまいれ。
すみません。手作りのため限定販売になっておりまして。
限定？では何人分なら注文できるのだ。
はあ、まあ3人分くらいでしたら。
では3人分頼む。
かしこまりました。
At least he said please. And like that, I would be seeing my father-in-law more frequently, and I might have secured a new regular for the honeydew. Eight, 1. After multiple dates with Lucy, and more than a few slightly awkward tea times with my father-in-law, July just flew by. I mean, Here's the thing, right? I hope it works, but at the same time, I have the feeling that because it's the first solution that they came up with, I don't think it's going to work. I know, just a feeling. On the underbelly of our efforts and hopes, we couldn't see any sort of improvement. And in fact, it seemed to be deteriorating. The mere idea of us making love as we once had was a distant dream at this point. Even just a brief embrace or a kiss. It was enough to make Lucy feel ill almost instantly. This was one of those times.
どうしたんだいルーチェ、元気ないじゃないか。
I think that's pretty obvious.
いつもなら手と足を使って邪険にするところなのに、その気配もない。もしかして本当に元気ないのかい？
今まで私が怒ることが分かっていてやっていたのね。
いやいや、決してそんなことはないんだけどね。
離れて。
これはどういうことだね、ユータ。
How should I put it? Lucy spoke before I could answer.
私たち、さっきキスをしたのよ。
キス？まさかルーチェちゃんの口からそんなセリフが出てくるなんて。ほんの十数年前はよちよち歩きしていたというのに。
Hang on, don't expose Lucy's age. She's 18, okay? That's what the warning says, at least.
ほんのと言いつつ何を大昔の話してるのよ。
それがキスなどと。お父さんは悲しい、切ない。だがまあ、それが淑女になるということか。それでキスをしたせいで気分が悪くなったのかい？
まあ。
言うたよ。
Yes.
ニンニク料理を食べた後はよーく歯を磨け。それが男としてのエチケットだぞ。
No, that's not what happened.
何自信たっぷりに的外れなこと言ってるのよ。話の流れからわからないの？前はまだ大丈夫だったのに、今はもうすぐに辛くなってきて。
Lucy put her fingers on her temples, like she was battling a migraine. She looked pale, but I knew her skin would be hot to the touch.
やはり事態は悪化しているのか。
そうよ。
Lucy spit it out like she was angry.
結局どうするんだ、ユータ。
He looked at me, not with scorn, but seriousness.
お前は先日、吸血鬼になれさえすればと、そう言っていたな。
That's right.
最愛の娘とその夫、若い夫婦のためを思えばこそ、世も忙しい身をして来訪しているのだ。
ユータを責めないで。
Oops.
最愛の娘とその夫、若い夫婦のためを思えばこそ、世も忙しい身をして来訪しているのだ。それがしかし
方向性は間違っていないはずなのよ。結局お父様との面会には効果がなかったとしても。
ルーチェよ、あえて言うが、また希望的観測に陥ってはいないか。
No, she realizes she's the main heroine of an eroge, which means that it always has to work out in the end between her and the main character.
お前がユータと初めて出会った時、 ユウタがきっと吸血鬼に近しい存在に違いないと、お前はそう思うに至った。それと似たような心理で。
違うわ。
それで、何か考えはあるのか、ユウタ。
As of now, nothing different from what I've been trying. I thought he would berate me or something, but Gasparo just murmured to himself.
思うに、より本質に迫らなければダメなのだろうな。
Nature?
いくら世が吸血鬼の帝王だとしても、植生はお主らとそう違いはない。汁粉、金時、饅頭、あんみつ、そして金唾など何でもござれだ。
Fucking desserts.
陛下は意外に甘いものがお好きだったのでございますな。
Maybe you should, go somewhere that isn't the Honeydew Cafe. Maybe get some other food.
結局、共に喫茶したところで吸血鬼の本質に迫れるわけではない。世が言いたいのはそういうことだ。
I mean, I guess see, here's the thing. The only reason Gasparo is here is because Yuta doesn't see Lucy as a vampiress. But if Gasparo just keeps acting like a human, then what would be different from what Lucy's doing? Alright, so of course, you need to make Gasparo act more like a vampire, and maybe it'll help. I noted he was definitely right. I thought it was also important to spend time with my father-in-law, but for a different reason.
じゃあもうお茶会も必要ありませんね。お父様もお忙しいということですし。
またルーチェちゃん、そんな冷たいこと言っちゃって。
うっとうしい。
さあ、そろそろ勘の手に行こうではないか。ぐずぐずしてると売り切れてしまうぞ。
Yeah, see now he has a different reason for coming here every time except for his daughter.
本当に和菓子を食べに来ているんじゃないでしょうね。
After an eventful month, it was finally August. We came to the theme park for a date.
前に来た時よりももっと混んでいるみたいね。
It's summer break, It's almost the end of it though, isn't it? It was packed as usual, but Lucy was used to it by this point, and smiled joyfully as our date began. I held onto her hand so as not to get separated. It's fine, just holding hands. Merely entertaining doubts about it was so demoralizing.
ねえ、ユウタ、気持ちはわかるけど、デートの最中はあんまり暗い顔はしないでね。
Yeah.
楽しいはずのデートも楽しくなくなってしまうから。
I know.
じゃあ、行きましょうか。
Yeah. We enjoyed every ride the theme park had to offer. We ate at a restaurant there, and it was dark by the time we headed home. It wasn't super late or anything, but surprisingly, the streets were desolate. I heard our lone footsteps echo in the dark. Right. This is right around where we met. Seeing that blinding, mysterious light, and then a person on the roof left such a strong, lasting impression. I already used the thumbnail, used this as a thumbnail, unfortunately. Then, I was blown away that she was gonna kiss me right away. I think I also already used this as a thumbnail, unfortunately. But she actually had no intention of kissing me. What was she trying to do? I feel like she told me once.
ごめんなさい、ユウタ。
Huh?
私、黙っていたのだけど。 体調がすごく悪くなってきていて。
Honestly, I already knew. I could feel that familiar, sickly heat reaching me as I held her hand. I kept thinking I should release it, but each time, as if she read my intention, she would tighten her own grip. So we ended up almost walking the rest of the way home hand in hand. That's just an excuse, though. Sorry, I knew. Lucy shook her head in silence. When we finally arrived home, Lucy collapsed into me like she had reached her limit. Naturally, I caught and embraced her. If I hold her like this, she'll get worse. Worry coiled around my heart, pushing me onto the edge of madness.
どうしてなのよ。
Lucy's shoulders shook while her head was buried in my chest. She grabbed onto my arms, latching in almost painfully. And her hot breath intensified the heat where our bodies made contact.
好きな人に触れることもできないなんて。こんなのおかしい。
She barely managed to utter words before she went limp. Several days passed. Lucy wasn't bedridden the whole time or anything, but she clearly felt ill and didn't bother stepping out of her house. I didn't want to force her out, so I let her be. One night, I was already in bed, and I opened my eyes for some reason. I stared at my dim ceiling, and the buzzing of the cicadas outside found my ears. Is my door open? Lucy.
私もう我慢できないの。あなたの血液をちょうだい。
Lucy, you can't. Stop. Lucy shook her head violently, her hair flailing about. Then... Sound effect. They didn't even change her fucking position. Lucy seemed somewhat reckless. It hurt way more than usual. She's way more horny than usual. Lucy took no notice of my painful groan as she latched onto my neck in delirium. But soon after, a paralyzing pleasure coursed through my body. My loins were burned and heavy at the long-awaited stimulation. We indulged in the forbidden lust a bit longer, and I soon climaxed. And because there's no dick and balls, I can keep this in the YouTube video. Despite the upward thrashing of my hips, Lucy remained wholly immersed in sucking my blood. Losing fluids from both points, my head started spinning, swimming. Oh, I don't know what these sounds are. When ejaculation wasn't nearly enough, I felt my member spring back into erection. And my second climax came soon after. Get it? What am I thinking just now? Just before, I tried to gather my thoughts in my clouding, fading mind. I told her she can't, and then to stop. What first came to mind was her health. I knew that was true. But the next thought that bubbled forth was fear. I was pretty sure it was. Right. I'm afraid of losing blood. Maybe quiet down a bit there, buddy. I'm afraid of losing blood. See? This time there's no cum shot, so I don't have to censor it. Thinking back to the first time, my body was frozen in fear. I was distracted by the ecstasy of it. Oh, that's because this was before she took it out. The girl I loved would never let me die. But despite fully understanding that, it was instinctual to have a primal fear of it. It probably doesn't help the situation, does it? After I came yet again, Lucy must have finally been satiated. She pulled her head up. The usual prim Lucy had swabs of blood covering her mouth.
ごめんなさい。
Well, he's not dead yet, so it's fine. The tears welling up in her eyes immediately began cascading onto my face.
こんな私
I shook my head lightly and managed to force out the words from my swelling throat. Don't worry. My voice was raspy and strained. Okay, good. I'm glad I changed it a bit. Bloodsucking is an expression of love for you, so you can only do it with me, right? And you would never let me die, right?
そうだけど
She blinked profusely, and more warm tears fell onto my face. This is her nature. What separates vampires and humans. I finally understood. If we can overcome this, then surely... Lucy crumpled off the side of the bed and onto the floor. I panicked and tried to help her. I can't move. It was unreal. It was like my body was no longer my own. Molten lead seemed to flow through my veins. I couldn't even lift a finger. Lucy... My tongue uselessly flopped around in my mouth because of my weakened state. I couldn't even raise my neck to see Lucy on the floor. Then I lost consciousness.
ユウタ様ユウタ様
I sprang out of bed. Oh, I can move again. That's the first thought that popped into my head.
ユウタ様
Dora,
お嬢様のお姿が見えないので探しに参ったのです。そうしたら
Lucy was laying face up on my floor. She was spread-eagled, looking helpless. My throat was abnormally dry, and I had a wicked cough.
ユウタ様大丈夫でございますか
Can you bring me some water? There's a bottle in the fridge.
承知いたしました
I bent over during the heaving coughs. My tongue was swelled up like a balloon, and I had no saliva at all. I looked down at on my sheets and saw dried red stains.
お待たせいたしました
Let's be glad that you didn't also see dried white stains. I snatched the plastic bottle and drank half of it in one gulp. Thank you. I finally felt somewhat normal. I tossed the bottle aside and hopped out of bed. My vision immediately spun upside down, and a rush of vertigo overcame me.
ユウタ様も顔色が優れませんが
Yeah, it's almost like he got drained of his blood. No, I'm fine. I shook my head violently to wake myself up as best as possible. Lucy was at her wit's end last night, and she ended up sucking me almost dry. Would have been hot in a different context, but it almost seemed like Lucy took her fair share of damage. Not to mention my wife had been sprawled on my hard bedroom floor since then. And my eyes began to water at the cruelty of it. I rubbed under my eyes and knelt to pick her up. Her body felt abnormally heavy. Damn, this wouldn't be anything normal. I gave up trying to carry her to her own house and lay her down onto my bed. Although her breathing did sound labored, her face was white as chalk. I put my hand on her forehead, and she was burning with a fever.
口元に血が付着しておりますが、お嬢様が吸血されるお相手はユータ様しかおりませぬ。すると、お嬢様が昏睡しているのは。
I nodded weakly. The first time this happened, in the vampire world, she woke up after a day, right?
はい。
Okay, and the second time here took a little longer. But my power has been increasing, and last night, she sucked with wild abandon. How long will it take this time around?
我が輩は正直申せば我が輩はもうルーチェお嬢様には吸血機械に戻っていただきと存じまする。
You mean alone? Lucy'd be mad if she heard that.
本能でござる。耳に痛いことを直言してこそ本物の従者というものでござろう。
Just wait. I know exactly how you feel. But I have an idea.
どのような。
I'll explain after Lucy wakes up. This is...
これが
And then he fucking collapses. The last time, I wanted to finish my sentence, but I knew Lucy wouldn't have liked it. I won't give up hope. Oh, right. Let's call a doctor, just in case. It will probably only ease our minds, if anything. I called our usual doctor to the house. I had been seeing him since I was a child, and he was an elderly man. Nevertheless, he was quite shocked when he laid eyes on the comatose girl in my bed. He finally spoke to us once he had gone through his usual tests. Fuck. Shows no signs of... She shows no physical ailments. Could it be poison? No, I don't think so. I cannot say for sure here, but her heart seems to be afflicted. Her heart? I murmured, almost as if the unexpected statement made sense to me. She's experiencing bradycardia, and her blood pressure is low. Many girls have low blood pressure, but this is alarming. I had been vaguely attributing this to some illness, but I finally realized the crux of the matter. That's what it actually was. I clenched my fists as they rested on my knees, wanting to suck myself in the face. Her heart is weak, so... If it stops, she'll die. I stopped myself from asking a stupidly obvious question. At any rate, as soon as she wakes up, take her to a hospital. One with proper equipment. Yeah, there's one in the vampire world. I will. I hung my head. The vague, undefined illness. The vagueness was beginning to take the form of death, and I felt a crippling chill in the pit of my stomach. Eight 10. Finally. The date. Lucy didn't wake up until afternoon the next day. I invited her to the beach, saying I had something important to talk about.
体は大丈夫？かなり吸血してしまったから。
I'm fine. I'm fine. I was a little sluggish when I awoke, but I felt good after I had breakfast. And, I tried not to get emotional as I looked into her eyes. Vampires don't prey on humans anymore. That was long ago now. Bloodsucking is merely an expression of love, so the subject won't die, right?
そうだけど。
Okay, as long as that's a certainty. Let's go. Even if you're a vampiress, your body occasionally needs some sunlight.
ええ。服を着ているとちょっと変な感じがするわね。そう考えるとなんだか不思議だわ。
Why is that?
プールの授業でもそうだったけど、最初は水着姿になることの方がずっとキーに感じられたから。なのに今は服を着ている方が違和感があるの。変われば変わるものね。
Yeah, that's just how used that just shows how used you've gotten you've gotten to life over here.
ええ。たまに忘れそうになってしまうわよ。自分が本当は何者なのか。
Oops.
あるいは忘れたいだけなのかもしれないけれど。
Lucy seemed forlorn as she looked out to sea. The beach was busy as usual. Fortunately, no one would hear the weird conversation we were having here. No, there's no need to forget. Lucy, I'll be honest here.
何？
I was afraid when you were sucking my blood. Not afraid of vampires, but of vampires' inherent nature.
本質。そうね。
Lucy sighed. In retrospect, when we reunited here, she attempted it then. I didn't think much of it, although I slightly misinterpreted it. I realize now that action clearly signaled the difference between humans and vampires.
私、てっきりあなたも喜んでくれているものとばかり思っていたの。でもやっぱり私が感じているようには感じることはできないわよね。
I mean, it did feel good. Yeah, he came 3 times. Lucy seemed happy to hear that, at least. I wasn't really conscious that I was afraid of it, though. Just losing a little blood isn't any different from donating blood. I didn't feel even a twinge of pain. You can't even see the scars. Plus, I knew it was an act of love. It's kind of a weird way to put it, but it feels like the nervousness I had when we first had sex.
あら、ユウタも緊張したの？
Yeah, you can talk about it, just don't show it. Well, yeah.
でも私の方がもっと緊張したわよ。
They've been a bit trigger happy with the flashback CGs, so, you know. Really? You look pretty calm.
それはどういう意味かしら。
We chuckled together. But it was a little different. I brought the conversation back on track. I knew it in my head, but I still felt fear. This is the difference between vampires and humans. So, you know, I thought that was the aim.
狙い目？
The aim, or so I thought. I hung my head and mumbled to myself.
どうしたの？
Lucy touched my shoulder in concern. I thought I could get used to it. I thought I could change my own nature by sticking to my guns, but I don't know if your body will hold out. My head still hung down. I told Lucy what the doctor had told me.
持たないか。かもしれない。でもね、ユウタ、こっちを向いて。
I looked toward her, and she instantly planted a kiss on my lips.
今のままでもやっぱり私は持たないの。いろいろとね。
Another sense of the word, huh? I laughed I laughed to keep up with her joking mood, but something else was going on in my head. Her distressed look on her face that night. I knew once I saw that face that her heart was crying out in pain.
じゃあいいわね、ユータ。
I nodded after some deliberation. I had voiced my concerns, and I believed that was the best I could do at the moment. If only hell awaited us, should we retreat? Then all we could do was push forward. Lucy wanted something sweet, so we headed to the shopping district.
このクレープ、カリンが美味しい美味しいってうるさいから一度くらい食べてみようと思っていたのよ。確かに美味しいわね。
That's not like you, wanting to eat sweets.
しばらく眠っていたせいかしらね。お腹が空いて仕方がなくて。
Lucy pressed her stomach as she spoke.
でもあんまり食べ過ぎるとまた太ってしまうわね。
Come on, I doubt you've ever even looked chubby.
本当にそう思う？
Yeah, it all went to your tits. Yeah, I do.
ユータがそう言ってくれるならもうそんなに我慢しなくてもいいかしらね。実を言うと私甘いものが大好きなのよ。
She was so secretive about it, but it was hardly something to hide. I definitely don't think you need to be dieting. A little more meat on you would be healthier, that's for sure.
ふーん。どこにお肉がつくかが問題でしょうけれど。
True. I'd been wondering about this, but do you actually put on weight easily?
さあ、どうかしら。
Oh, come on.
つまり、いつも気をつけていたということよ。
I see. Wait, what? I was almost convinced, but then tilted my head. If you don't actually know yourself, then what made you start in the first place?
きっかけね。
She had an impish grin for some reason.
あのね、カリンに憎たらしいことを言われるのも尺だから体質なんて言ってごまかしていたのだけど、本当は違うのよ。
So why did you start caring about your weight? I think her reason is staring right at her.
ちぎりを交わした男の子に決まってるじゃない。いくらちぎりを交わしたとはいえ、私もやっぱり内心では不安だったわ。人間にとっては特にそういう意味はない。という上に出来事自体忘れてしまっている。であれば無事再会を果たせた時にどう思われるか、やっぱり不安になってしまうじゃない。それでとにかくなるべく綺麗でいようと心がけていたというわけよ。
Oh, so that's why.
きっと私を見てくれる人がいると思えばこそね。地味な努力も続けられたのよ。
Lucy, you're beautiful. Lucy looked genuinely happy, yet incredibly bashful. Lucy was quite the woman, with her filed nails and perfect makeup. But beneath her veneer, at her core, knowing the dream the girl had was moving.
まあ女ですもの。綺麗な自分が嫌いなはずはありませんけどね。
She had regained her normal confidence, struck in a cute pose.
ねえユータ、そういえばという言い方も変だけれど、私たち 結婚式もまだだったわよね。
Oh, yeah. It wasn't like I had entirely forgotten about it. But when I heard a wedding, I thought cost. I knew Lucy's family was loaded, but I couldn't put it all on her. So I had vaguely been thinking of doing it after I got a job and saved up a bit.
あちらでもいずれ式は挙げないといけないのだけど、こちらはこちらで挙げたいところよね。学校の友人も招けるし。
Yeah, if we don't have a banquet after, it maybe won't cost as much.
やっぱりちゃんと式を挙げたいのよね。私たちとっくに夫婦なんですもの。
I nodded. It wouldn't get anywhere. I wouldn't get anywhere just worrying about money. All right, let's do it. Let's search for a location first, then write invitations. Although, if I could do it cheaply, then I was all for it. I decided to consult with Yu-chan's dad about it.
ああ、それなら海沿いの教会に頼むといいよ。
Church? There was a church there?
あるある。まあ、こじんまりとした建物だから目立たないがね。
We can have it there even if we're not members.
ああ、実を言うと、俺たちもそこで式を挙げたんだ。
Oh, wow. Interesting.
懐かしいね。甘露亭の開店資金を一生懸命貯めていた頃で余裕もなかったから、安く住むところはないかって散々探して見つかったのがそこだったんだ。東大元暮らしってやつだね。
So, how much was it?
人を招いて神父さんの前で永遠の愛を誓う。これだけなら実はタダなんだな。
Free? Whoa.
もちろん派手なことをやるなら実費はかかるけどね。
No, we don't plan on doing anything fancy.
じゃあそこにしたらいいさ。地図を書いてあげるよ。
A map. I got the map, and even though I was worried about bugging them so late, I grabbed Lucy and we headed over. I wanted to square it away. It was all I could think about. We walked the path to school, checking the map for which side road we needed. Oh, here it is. The entrance was tucked away and kind of hard to find. We tried to peek in to see if the lights were on, and just then an old man came out. Excuse us? Yes? Are you the priest here? Yes, that's correct. Oh, we have a request. Even though it was some random young couple asking out of the blue about a wedding, he looked pleasantly amicable. I see. If you would allow me to, I would be happy to accept. Thank you. Thank you so much.
ありがとうございます。
So, when are you planning to have it? Well, we were thinking as soon as possible, but we still need to send invites. It'd be best to have it during summer break. How about the end of the month, then? Yes, that sounds perfect. Lucy nodded next to me. Very well. Let me work out the details right now. I'll be leaving Japan on duties tomorrow. Please come in. Sorry this has to be so late.
すみません。
Oh, goodness, no. It is my pleasure to be a part of a young couple's matrimony. Oh. Thanks to the kind priest, we had the dates and details of our wedding set. But before the big day, there was something we absolutely needed to resolve. Kind of a few things you need to resolve. 8:14. I learned when we donated blood a while back that you needed to leave 4 weeks between donations, and even then there was a yearly limit. When she sucked my blood recently, I was sure she took more than I would give if I was donating, but waiting 4 weeks was out of the question. So after a week, we decided to enact our plan. We lay facing one another on the center of her bed, just as a precaution in case she passed out.
じゃあ
Lucy put her hand on my shoulder.
ゆうた、私の背中に手を回して。
Like this.
そう、そうして抱きしめて。
At this stage, even touching her bare skin affected her negatively. But I obeyed her wish.
うん、そう。
Lucy was speaking gently into my ear.
そうしてもらうと愛されているって実感できるから。
Lucy's bodily warmth and scent overcame me, and I felt blissfully happy. Yeah, I love you. I tightened my grip around her body.
私も愛しているわ。あなたを愛しているから奪いたいと思う。
Lucy put her mouth against my neck. I thought she would instantly bite, but she just pecked me with her moist lips.
この前はごめんなさいね。
ん？
痛くしてしまって。
Yeah, it really hurt, which was true, but the wound healed quickly as usual. I'd mostly forgotten about it by the next morning.
これからはちゃんと優しくするから。
Yeah. Maybe because it had been so long since we were intimate like this, but Lucy kept kissing passionately. If you just keep kissing me, I'm gonna start to get ideas.
どちらにしろ変な気分になるんじゃないかしら。
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah.
じゃあ行くわね。
Yeah. A delicate prick with just a hint of pain pierced my skin. This time around, I was probably much more relaxed too. It was likely because we were calm and had planned it out before. Lucy pulled her face away after only a few sips of blood.
あんまりやっては辛いものね。まずは回数を重ねて慣れましょう。
I think it'd be harder on you. Okay. We gradually tried it every day after that. Lucy never fell ill like we had feared, and I felt great too. The trial was going better than expected. A few days later,
すごい。
Lucy put her hands on my lips as she mumbled,
すごいわよ、ゆうた。
and she sounded elated. What is?
だんだんと辛さがなくなってきたわ。
I was speechless at the moment, and quickly beamed with happiness. Seriously? Lucy. I threw my arms around her, even embracing this tightly. Lucy didn't look to be suffering at all. Seconds after having sucked my blood, she just grinned happily and didn't show any signs of malaise. I don't know how it's pronounced. Okay, how about we up the ante? You only had a couple of sips just now. I sensed a hint of anxiety as she nodded. It's fine. Before you know it, I stroked downward on her supple arms, merely touching you like this was hard on you, and it's fine now.
そうね。
Yeah, but why do I feel like this isn't going to be the solution? Well, to be fair, I don't remember how many CGs are left, right? So who knows? Maybe I am approaching the end of the route. It's just that I'm still waiting for that climactic moment, right? Like, obviously, finding out about Yuta's problem and why Lucy was sick every time she was with Yuta, right? That was cool, but that didn't feel that climactic. The first solution he came up with wasn't climactic either, right? It wasn't like okay, we've done this, we've spent time with Gasparo, and then Lucy started feeling sick again, right? I guess the climactic moment was when she started sucking a lot of his blood out, and then she felt sick, but then at the same time, that felt too short for a quote unquote climactic moment, right? It doesn't really feel the same as, say, Karen turning back into a fox after their last hate scene, or like when Luna went back to her home world, right? Or why am I blanking on? Well, I guess in Julie's instance, it's her turning into a human. For Yorihime, it's her also turning into a human. And then it's like with Yuta coming back from the spiritual world, right? That kind of event hasn't happened yet for Lucy, unless it did, and I just don't feel it just doesn't feel as climactic.
今はキスだってできる。
She simultaneously closed her eyes as I brought my lips to hers. Like, here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they think that they fixed the problem, and then they fuck, right? The last hate scene of the game. And then, after that happens, her symptoms get worse, right? Much worse than they did any other time. Even the time when she sucked his blood, and then something. But then, like, I don't know what the solution would be then. You know? Not long ago, Lucy would start to get ill even after a peck, and it wasn't because I ate any garlic. But now we kissed to our heart's content, and I didn't see any change in her condition. Lucy's cheeks were glowing light pink. Thinking about it, it seemed like ages since I laid eyes on such a healthy complexion. She had been so pale, and I always felt so worried. But seeing her so healthy and beaming with joy... Oh man, I want to lay her down right now, and right here and now. Lucy's honed intuition let her read my mind, and her hand moved down to the growing lump in my pants. Just a tiny graze of her fingertips sent a jolt rushing up my spine.
よかった。まだ私のことを求めてくれているのね。
Well, duh.
でも、男の人はなかなか我慢が難しいという話だから、他の女に目移りすることもあるかも。 なんて思っていたのだけど。
I would never. And it's not like I can't restrain. It's not like I can't restrain myself.
そうなの？
Well, it's a little different. I mean, I just do it myself.
抜く？
Masturbation, if you will.
ああ、さあ、ユータも G をしていたのね。
Joke in it, if you will. You mean you're into that too?
そうよ。もう恥ずかしいことを言わせないで。このベッドの上でね。
She said it was embarrassing, but continued delving deeper into her lewd hobbies. I didn't bother teasing her. Instead, I just listened intently.
あなたのことを思いながら、自分で自分を慰めて。
Okay, this is definitely leading into a hate scene. But then, is it gonna actually be what I thought it was going to be?
でも違うのよね、やっぱり。いくらそれなりに気持ちいいとしても、愛するあなたに愛されるのとは全然違う。運命の差よ。
I nodded. I felt the same way. I want you, even a day, even a second sooner. But I can wait. I pulled my hand away. If we fall back to square one now, we may never get this far again. Oh, never mind. She nodded, and this time reached out to touch my hand.
じゃあ今日はもう少しあなたの血をいただくわね。
Sure.